Hey everyone, welcome to Apple iOSGenius on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over to the next part of the Concur app of submitting your review of the reimbursement and submitting it. Now when you're finally submitting it, what does it look like next? Is it fully submitted? Is it approved? Is it pending? Etc. etc. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to go ahead and share my phone here on the right hand side here. We're going to pull this up. There it is. There's the Concur app of SAP. We're going to open this up. It's going to log you in because it already has your credentials as the last time you logged in. Now, if you could technically log out each and every time if you wanted to. You go in the very top left corner there, select your name, and then you can actually scroll down about 5 rows down. And you can see there's a sign out option. You can log yourself out to be extra secure so that in case someone has your phone, they're not looking at and looking over your expenses. So now that we're in the app and we've already done your expense, which was the center, and we saw that in the previous video, now we're in the expense report, which we created it from the expense to the expense reports. And then so now we're going to finalize it by reviewing it and then going forward on this. So let's go ahead and select that expense reports. The expense report shows up as $45. I named it delete. This is a test because it is a test. If I left it as a specific date or so forth and I submitted it, my employer, my HR, my payroll will be like, wait a second, this person is resubmitting the same amount for the same day and et cetera, same pictures, and he's trying to get double or triple for the same amount for that 1 month. That's not possible. So this is just an information for them so they can delete it. On my end, I can go ahead and select, and do you see where the delete icon came up? I can physically delete it. But once you physically submit it and you approve it on your end, you cannot delete it. It's in there. It's going to be listed under the history. On the right-hand side is here where we see. And once it's submitted, it's done. So you're going to have to wait till it gets denied or they delete it on their side. Well, technically, they won't delete it on their side. They'll just archive it. Then they can bring it back in reference to say, hey, look, this is what you did, etc., etc. So it's kind of scolding you, but it's not. So we're going to go ahead and select on this reimbursement. Everything is there is fine. Delete this as a test. The $45 amount, yes. It is a mobile reimbursement. You can select on the details, go through it to double check it if you like. You can put your comments at the very top there. What if it's for stipend for cell phone service or supporting someone's company or whatever the case may be. Receipts are there as well, and then your expenses. Now, it does not really matter which of the three that you're on this tab. It can be receipts, it can be details, it can be expenses. But the very bottom center, you do have an option there that says submit. Now, when we touch this is going to actually move it over where you cannot delete it, modify, change it, or nothing at all. So we're going to go ahead and submit. And it says expense compliance. I confirm that these expenses are reasonable, justifiable, and in compliance with the Unisys policy. Whereas in your company, it might be in compliance with Allstate policies, Kraft Foods policies, Mondelez. It could be all that stuff. Yes, Mondelez and Kraft Foods, the same company. But let's go ahead and hit submit. So now it's going to submit the report. It submitted it, and it's going to show there is to submit it and pending approval. So now it's in the next stage, where the next stage is going to have to be approved by your boss or through your HR or your payroll. Now, as I titled it as delete this as a test, if you name those main titles to be like, this is a San Francisco trip, this is the airline, this is the food for breakfast, this is lunch with the vendors or the merchants or etc., etc. If you put those there, you know what it's for. Your boss will know what it's for. If they need to see more detail, they'll just select it and they'll see more expanded detail. So now it's already submitted. Let's go ahead and select on delete this test. I can select it. I can review it. Still shows me the 60 days. It's beyond the 60 days. It's still submitted pending approval. I can select on the bottom here for the expenses and it'll show me more granular information. View receipt here as well as right side here receipts is the same section, same thing. So there's no difference. Details is of course where you physically submitted your expenses to go to the expense report. Whereas the expenses is basically what you created on the original point, where it's just creating the expense. So there's normally a 3 to 4 step process. You're going to create the expense, which is what you're looking at here. And then after creating it, then you're going to move it to the expenses request, which is more detailed. As you can see here, it's more granular, it has more information. And then from there, then you're going to submit it to that department to get approval, which right now we're at the submit and pending approval. Once it gets approved, then you can see in my next video how it's approved and so forth. So basically there's a submit it, pending approval, then you get approval, then you get pending processing, then you have, after pending processing, then you have approval processing, then you have approval completed, which is all 100% done and so forth. Now you're just waiting for them to pay you either the existing check coming or the following check, and then you'll have that extra money and dues to go with. So right now it is actually submitted. So if I go back to expenses, I can see it there. If I can go to receipts, I see it there. If I go to the very top, hit the little back arrow here, you can see now it shows delete this is a test. Now it says sent back to employee. Now if you initially saw my first video, if you allow the option where it says allow send notifications, if I had that do not allow, I would not see this. I would not see this until I go into the app, and then I'd be like, oh, what's going on with this? Whereas originally, if I allowed it, then I would get a notification, oh, your request for that expense trip was denied, or whatever the case is. So here it physically says sent back to the employee, because the reason is why is because once you submit it, it goes to possibly my supervisor or manager to get approval. They're approving it through their app on the Concur app or on the online, and when they get that notification or that email that says approve or deny, they get that title where it says delete this as a test. So they're going to delete it or deny it, and that's why it's sent back to me. So I have to modify it, change it, do whatever I need to do. But I'm not doing anything else further with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. So it says, are you sure you want to delete this expense report? Yes, there's no need for it. This was just completely a test. So I hit delete. Give it a moment. It's going to delete it. Now if I go to the main page, you can see the expense report still says 1. Just press in the center, drag down, pull to refresh, let go, and that should update and disappear under my expense reports. If it doesn't, it may take another moment or two, and there it goes. It disappears. Now, if you wanted to see what the completion process is, feel free to watch my next video, and then we can see what the completion process of the expense reports that I put in. Are they pending? Are they approved? Are they completed? And let's go from there. All right, well, thanks for watching iOSGenius on the YouTube channel and going over the Concur app and how to review and submit your expense report in the app. Very easy, very self-efficient that you don't really ever need to jump on your computer and do this and so forth. You can do it once you pay a receipt at some location or so forth. You can just take a picture of it and submit it right then and there. You don't have to wait. And so by the time you get back from your trip, more or less, it could have been approved, completed, and then you're going to get paid for it in the next few days or a week. All right, well, thanks very much. Please put in your comments down below and select subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you hit the like button that you enjoy this video, if you have any other apps that you would like me to review or check out, feel free to put them down below. Or just send me an email, then I can see what I can do in getting those apps reviewed for you. Thanks, and have a great day.